Has it been 20?
Has it been 20? 19? It might only be 19.
No, I think it's 21 actually.
21?
Yeah.
SportsSqwad can drink now? Seems appropriate.
Clearly.
Yeah, SportsSqwad. Sticking with that new format we did last episode, doing a little not airing of the grievances, letting shit out, and then our topic, and then our week in review. And that's how we're going to do things here. Kelvin is here, as usual, and Hockey Ryan is also here. So I think you're on one other episode of SportsSqwad.
Possibly two.
Possibly two.
Well, the one was the one that we're redoing currently.
Yes.
I was so bad and so disruptive a presence, we had to try again.
So our main topic is going to be international players. But before we get to that, let's let some shit out. I think my biggest thing going on right now is how people need to chill.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because...
You're going to talk about Shohei Ohtani, aren't you?
No, not Shohei Ohtani. It's baseball, though. Phillies, Gabe Kapler leaves Aaron Nola in, their up-and-coming ace. Right? He had 68 pitches through 7 innings, pulls them. Right? They lose opening day. Right? They are now 500. They're 5-5 on the season. They dropped 20 runs. They swept the Reds, who were the second worst team in baseball last year.
Oh, nice.
It's still a sweep.
Yeah.
Within the first week of the season, first week and a half of the season.
Yeah.
I just said people literally the first season they're like Gabe Kapler is a fit for Philly. His methods are all wrong.
Oh yeah.
He's looking at stats and matchups too much. Well, 2 weeks into the season, you're 500.
Yeah.
Strictly speaking, you're 10 games into a 162 game season. You are 1 game into an NFL season here. I think it's a little bit early to be pulling the trigger on anybody.
Exactly. That's my point. I think Twitter and Facebook were just too much, especially the fans who don't really know much about the sport.
Yeah,
they just like the local teams.
Yeah.
Which I'm fine, be a dedicated fan, but when it actually gets down to discussing just below the surface, and you have no idea what you're talking about. But I just think people need to chill. That's just been bothering me the past couple weeks. People were like, "Oh, that was this," and then, especially with NBA and NHL playoffs and baseball starting, it's just been a lot of people are like, "Oh, this." I'm just like, chill, give it time, let it marinate.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
right? Low and slow.
And you look at it. This happens too, and it annoys me too. Is they're especially franchises are very quick to remove any kind of a coach
unless you're the Browns.
Yeah.
Who 1-31.
Okay, but the Browns are perpetually rebuilding. Hugh Jackson was not fielded a good team. Or not, yeah, Hugh Jackson was just not fielded a good team whatsoever. The GM was obviously terrible, and Sashi Brown and that whole analytics thing, and purely only analytics. But you look at
released, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Episode 14 for episode 14
right.
for our analytics.
So
analysis.
I think
episode 14. Listen to it.
I just think you look at this year, there was 2 teams that fired their coaches early on in the season in the NBA. I know the Phoenix Suns fired their coach 4 games into the season. 4 games into his first season.
Yeah, this was his first season.
Yeah, Earl Watson. He was a former NBA player. Yeah, 4 games into his first season. Granted, they lost 2 of the first 4 games by 40-plus points. But still, it was 4 games into his very first season, and you're obviously a rebuilding team. You need to have some sort of fluid consistency. You have good young players, you have Devin Booker and things like that, and there's too much chaos and there's too much turnover and things like that. Same thing with the Memphis Grizzlies. The Memphis Grizzlies are obviously in a tanking mood right now too, and they lost one of the games to the Hornets, who aren't even a playoff team. They lost to the Hornets by 61 points, point this season. And they fired their coach, David Fizdale, early in the season, too. He was a young coach, and he had just taken his team to the playoffs the year before and, won a series where they didn't believe that they would have won a series last year. So he was a good coach. He's gonna get a lot of talk around him and things like that for the head coach, for open head coaching jobs this year with the Knicks being open again because they're a dumpster fire of an organization.
At this point, I can interview for the next job.
Yeah, exactly. Peter could interview for the next job and he'd probably get it. It's just you need consistency, and that's my biggest thing is there's just not any consistency when it comes to players or to organizations keeping.
I just think things need to be set, and they need to have time to grow.
Yeah.
And I know in today's day and age, it's hard, but it's just relax, right? See what happens first. Don't get all paranoid because
you're not winning, right? Like you're not seeing immediate results. Like especially if you're a rebuilding team. Like you're not gonna see immediate results with the Phillies. Like they're a young team. They have some talent. They're not full of talent yet, but they're like definitely
it's
a team.
A lot of young. On the cusp guys,
yeah.
Right?
You look at what the Astros did and how they were.
That's how you do it.
That's how you do it. Yeah. Like you build it up. Like all these players that they have are all these players that they came up through the farm system. Probably with the exception of probably Verlander, but like just about everybody else came through their farm system and built their team up. Unless you're the Yankees and you're just spending money, and even the Yankees haven't won the title since what? 09, right?
Yeah, it's going on 9 years.
So like obviously that's proven to be like not the most effective way.
Look at the Dodgers the past 5 years.
Yeah.
They're just buying all these people.
Exactly. They're just renting people out instead of
they're one game away from winning it all last year, but
even still,
it took them that long to get to that spot. Yeah.
Even like the Cubs, they did a pretty good job of like building up their team through the farm system, but they're still not like they're still doing like some more like those bargain players getting a roll to Chapman for like half a season or something like that,
And Ben Zobrist who had that clutch double.
Yeah. So it's proven that if you look at the process. The process is like Brett, like everybody's like, oh well, Brett Brown just like he's not winning any of these games or anything like that. They're not a good team. I'm like, well, that's because they're not supposed to be a good time. They're like a good team. They're tanking. They're intentionally losing games on purpose. Yeah. Like that's why they have Michael Carter Williams. Like
that's why they traded. Wasn't he Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, he was Rookie of the Year
on the Sixers.
Yep.
And got traded like 2 or 3 years later.
Yep, exactly. So he was.
Can we just acknowledge that one guy's name is Sauce?
Oh, it's actually not Sauce. It's Nick Stauskas.
His name's Sauce.
That nickname is Sauce Castillo.
Yeah.
His actual name is Nick Stauskas. He went to Michigan. He's from Canada.
It all makes sense.
Is that how you spell Nick? The sauce?
Yeah.
It's pronounced Nick.
But yeah, they it's proven that if you take the time and you build a roster, you're gonna be you're gonna be better for the long haul. Like look at how good the 76ers is gonna be. The 76ers are set up for a while now. They went on and got like some free agents, but not even really a lot. Like the only really notable one that they got outside of their draft picks is probably JJ Redick.
Yeah.
Dario Saric, Joel Embiid, Markelle Fultz, Robert Covington,
all through the system.
Ben Simmons, all through the system, all through the draft picks, all through trust in the process. So it's just that's my biggest thing is like you just be patient and it'll happen. It'll come for you at some point. It's just
I need a reminder for the week interview.
Oh yeah, people aren't just gonna win immediately. The Astros were bad for a long time, and now they're gonna be good for a really long time. So it's just a matter of just biding your time and then building your team up, especially in the NBA. Like you're not gonna be good immediately. You're not gonna be the Warriors or the Cavs or anything like that immediately. Even the Warriors, like
look how bad they were.
Yeah, look how bad they were when Stephen Curry was first drafted, when they had Monte Ellis and things like that. They just weren't a good team, and they drafted well. They got lucky with some of their draft picks as well too, drafting Draymond Green in the second round. That was a huge pickup, obviously, because he's an all-star now, defensive player of the year. So with the exception of Kevin Durant, they've done a good job of drafting and building their team up for the long haul. Even now, when they've had the 30th overall pick and they've done well. They drafted a kid, Patrick McCall, who's been really good for that team. He's come off the bench and he's been really well. He's played really well too. So it's just a matter of having a front office that believes that you believe in, that ownership believes in, and also putting in a coaching staff that you believe in as well. And it's just frustrating to see teams just want instant gratification, instant results. They want to win immediately. That's just not how things are done. You can't just most times you can't just buy yourself a championship. You can sometimes, but Most times than not, you really can't.
So, Ryan, what shit do you want to get out?
Fucking Barry Trotz, man.
Yeah?
Look, he's a good guy, all right? I like the guy. I think he's a good coach to develop a lot of... No, wait, he's not a good coach to develop anything. He's terrible with youth. He's god-awful with youth. He keeps scratching the young stars on the team. For those who don't know what that means, you have 21 players is your maximum roster size in the NHL. So you have 12 active forwards, 6 active defensemen, and 2 active goaltenders.
Don't forget the emergency goalie.
The emergency goalie does not count toward your roster.
Unless it's Chicago.
Unless it's Chicago.
Or
Look, we're not going to talk
Flyers.
about that right now.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about the Flyers either.
Yeah, we are. So, we needed to develop Andre Burakovsky, right? So what does Barry Trotz do? It's 2015, and Andre Burakovsky is just 19 years old, about to turn 20, and the under-20 international tournament is coming up, and Andre Burakovsky is riding the bench for the Caps, right? The Caps are top of the standings. They're doing fine. Everybody's like, hey, the Caps need to send Burakovsky over to this tournament. Let him lead a team for a while. Like, let him tear it up, really come into his own. And then Trotz says, no, we need Burakovsky. Jason Chimera, 35-year-old, salty veteran, just got a huge critical penalty at a late stage in the game, and we need Burakovsky around, otherwise Chimera's not going to fight for his job. Sure enough, they keep Burakovsky benched for 2 more weeks when he could have been getting game experience in a really important setting, get leadership experience, get really critical development in a clutch tournament format. You know? And Barry Trotz says, no, I need him around so my veterans play harder.
I don't think that strategy ever works.
It doesn't. You have to develop your young talent. Young talent is what makes a team into a contender. You need, you can buy a superstar. You can overpay for one in the trade market. You can overpay for one in free agency, or you can develop one for your own for bargain basement price. That's how developing talent works. And the fact is, Barry Trotz and the Washington Capitals have a serious problem in developing young talent into star quality because they don't let them grow. Madison Bowie should have been a clear pick. Go into the NHL, get solid minutes, or stay in the AHL and take more time and more clutch minutes to develop. Instead, he's now riding the bench in D.C. because the Caps picked up 2 more defensemen in trade because we were playing like crap on the back end, and Bowie's getting swallowed up because he's not getting his time, he's not learning the game the way he needs to. Christian Djoos, however, has been amazing. Thank God he is outplaying everybody else on the blue line except for Orlov and Niskanen. He's been absolutely just amazing to watch this year.
I just want to pause this for a second, and I'd like to tell you, my friend, that my friend DSP just scored a goal.
Oh my God, his 3rd of the season?
DSP!
You know what? I'll get on the DSP bandwagon.
Yeah,
that's fine.
It's all about Devontae Smith-Pelly.
Devontae Smith-Pelly is the greatest thing to happen to this franchise since Joel Ward.
I would agree, because he's the last black person. So
Madison Bowie's black.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He is black. I knew about him. But
Don't you know all black people in the NHL?
I don't actually. I should.
Well,
because I am a shooter.
There's only like 6 of them.
Yeah.
There's Dustin Byfuglien, Evander Kane.
That doesn't even sound like a black person. Dustin Byfuglien?
Fucking Google him. He is the destroyer of souls. He is Winnipeg's own Grim Reaper. He is amazing. I love watching him because he is the guy on the highlight for all of the career-ending injury shit.
We should not say how to spell his name and let people try to Google him. Dustin Byfuglien. Good luck.
It's spelled exactly how it sounds, with extra G's.
Evander Kane, he's still around?
Yep.
Who's playing for San Jose?
Yeah, he's in San Jose.
I know he was on the Thrashers when the Thrashers were a thing.
Wow, the Thrashers, that's a throwback.
The Atlanta Thrashers. Then he went to Winnipeg. He was with Winnipeg for a season because Atlanta moved to Winnipeg, right? He was on the Jets for a little while, and then the Jets were like, well, this would-be star player is an absolute toxic personality, and everyone hates him. Let's trade his ass to Buffalo.
I mean, PK Subban, obviously.
PK
and his brother. His brother
Malcolm
plays.
Subban
plays for the Golden Knights. He's a
goaltender.
backup goalie.
Jordan Subban
really?
is an AHL defenseman for Vancouver.
Is this like the Stahl brothers, but black?
Yeah.
Yes.
Damn right.
There isn't a fourth one, though.
Oh.
However, just like the fourth Stahl, all of the other Subbans agree that Jordan is probably the most talented. Yeah.
Just like they had those two black brothers in Mighty Ducks. Back-to-back Mighty Ducks references. In 2 straight episodes.
It's playoff season. That's just what it is.
We did the personal stories.
Yeah.
Which were already released by this point.
Can I get back to Barry Trotz here? He's stifling Jakub Vrana, who is about the brightest... Jakub. He's like Jakub Voracek on your precious Flyers.
Is he the Australian one?
No, that's Nathan Walker.
That's it.
They completely mishandled Nathan Walker, and then we're like,
because I remember him playing, he started the first game of the season.
Yeah, he started, he was with the team for 15, 20 games.
Yeah.
He was looking really fun to watch, but then we're like, we don't need 2 Tom Wilsons. And then we're going to put him on waivers, and now his ass is in Edmonton. So,
that's upsetting.
Yeah, I
know. He was like the first Australian hockey player to start in the
He was the first Australian hockey player to be drafted.
Yeah.
And he scored a goal in front of the Australian Prime Minister, I think. No, the Australian ambassador.
I remember he scored his
name is
first
Joe
game.
Hockey. Literally. The guy's name is Joe Hockey. It was the first time he had ever been to a hockey game before. And the first Australian NHL player ever scored his first career goal in front of him. Joe fucking Hockey. Believe that. But that's just mismanaged young talent. Got a guy with great work ethic who's really trying hard. We don't need that. We've got salty veterans. Yeah, we've got Black Jesus 2 DSP.
Damn right. DSP.
We've got Alex Chason. He's a fourth line grit presence. We've got Jay motherfucking Beagle to win faceoffs. We don't need fast young talent that can score goals. We can win faceoffs with Jay motherfucking Beagle.
Because that's what counts.
We need a 32-year-old.
Faceoffs are the key to the game.
We need a 32-year-old center who can't skate worth a damn, as opposed to Burakovsky, as opposed to Vrana, as opposed to Bowie. We need young talent. That's where your value comes from. That's how you build a deep team, is by getting your young players ice time, by getting your young players acclimated to the NHL level game, by getting your young players scoring at the NHL level. And Barry Trotz has proven over the last 3 seasons that he is not committed to developing the young players on his team. He wants to help the team win now. I respect that. That's the whole goal of the organization right now, is get Ovi a ring. Get Ovi a cup. Get Ovi a plate if you can't afford a cup or a ring. Just give him something with his name on it, and just...
He's just going to pass the second round. That's all I really care about.
Yeah, that too. Getting past the second round, that's the ultimate goal here.
Yeah.
But Barry Trotz isn't relying on the young talent on the team.
And I feel like that's what you need to do at this point, especially with Ovi getting up there, Backstrom getting up there, players like that getting older. You're not going to, them, they're going to need that younger talent to help them, especially when it comes to the playoffs and how long the season is and everything like that. So they're fresher when it comes time to be there at the end of the season. And I just feel like
Kuznetsov is the only young player on the team who has not been completely screwed over when it comes to talent. And that is despite everything. Kuzi, love me some Kuzi. He is awesome. That 70-point season he had 2 years ago was the most fun I've had following an individual player.
Oh, he was filthy with the stick too.
He
was so clean with it. Oh my god, it was beautiful.
He was so dirty it was clean.
Yeah.
But he
okay. That's about 20 minutes in.
Yeah.
Look, that's just...
I know you have a lot of shit to get out.
Look, I didn't think I would have this much to say. I like Barry Trotz. I love me the Caps. But, god damn it, you're young players. That's how you get championships. Is you get young players on entry-level contracts or on bridge contracts. You get those guys on the cheap deals. That's how you build a championship team. And you know what is another important thing when building a championship team? International players.
Wow.
It's a hell of a segue right
there. Yes, international players. To the main topic.
Chicago brings over Artemi Panarin out of the KHL in Russia at 24 years old. He's long since proven that he is a KHL star. He is living in poverty in Russia. He can't afford to live in Russia for another year. And he's playing out of his mind, and Chicago notices this in the Gagarin Cup playoffs, because of course they would need to name another thing after Gagarin. There's
a first thing named after Gagarin.
How many things are named after Gagarin?
Yuri Gagarin was the first human in space. I think his first name is Yuri.
It's probably Yuri.
But they named a lot of things after him. Anyway.
Well, we made it to the moon, so that's what really counts.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
And we're probably going to make it to Mars.
Hopefully.
It'll be the Elon Musk Cup in like 2 years.
Oh, damn right. I'm so here for that. The Tesla Cup. Oh, my God.
You can't actually
so
touch it because
that.
it is basically just a giant taser. But, that's what you get for having electrically powered trophies.
Electrically plowed.
Hey,
damn right.
It was plowed electrically.
There's still beer in here. I can turn this upside down on top of things.
It's like foam.
There's a little bit of beer. There's some beer.
There's a swig left.
Yeah, a swig can do some damage. That
You can
laptop's pretty
clean it up with that towel right there.
But I'll keep the towel.
Okay.
Anyway.
This took a turn.
It sure did.
So anyway, before Ryan commits electrical murder.
So Chicago brings in Panarin. Nobody thinks he's going to be that great. He is definitely the free agent signing of the offseason, though. And he had a breakout year with Chicago and won the Cup in his rookie season. Fact is, he was a huge part of what brought Chicago that championship. He was on an entry-level deal. Not exactly. He had... It was a couple $1 million deal, but nothing huge. But the fact is, he earned it. And then he played really well with them for a while. Then he got traded to Columbus.
He plays for Columbus right now, right?
Yeah, he got traded to Columbus. Now he's the Caps problem.
Yeah, for our inevitable 7-game series that we go into after we go down 3-2.
Yep. Hell, we could go up 3-0 and make it a 7-game series.
Yeah, didn't we do that with the Flyers?
With the Flyers, yeah, we sure did.
A couple years ago.
That said, it didn't go 7 games; it went 6 games.
But that game 6 was really close. I remember watching that at Glory Days.
Oh god, yep. No, that was like one of the 3 years where Braden Holtby was like playing out of his mind every game of the playoffs, and every game was a 1-goal deciding defense.
Holtbeard.
For 3 years.
Group.
Is Group starting right now?
Oh yeah, he started game 1. Yeah.
Okay, man, Holtby has been off his game this year. I haven't really been enjoying that.
Did he shave the beard?
I don't think so. The beard lost its magic then, so he maybe need to shave it now.
Maybe he trimmed his beard a little bit, and Groovy picked up the beard and sewed it onto his beard.
Yeah.
Groovy beard.
There we go.
Yep.
So back to international players.
Yes, international players. So I think that mainly the thing is just, are these big international players? I want to say big, like as in they made a name for themselves somewhere else. Because there are a lot of international players that just come in the draft.
Yeah.
Or they're young and that they're just part of the team. And
yeah.
It's not part of this conversation. I mean in Ichiro, because he is...
Oh, yeah, because he was already big and well-established
like
before in
years.
Japan, yeah.
Yeah, in Japan, and he was basically face of Japanese baseball
Oh,
and started the Japanese thing. He's definitely worth what happened. And he's back with the Mariners, which is really cool. But I think, is it always worth it? And is the hype surrounding them usually worth it? And right now, it's Shohei.
Yeah, Shohei Ohtani, yeah.
Yep. Which, I think that's another thing where people just need to be like, okay.
Oh, yeah, I would agree.
Calm down and see what happens, because people are going to figure him out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because people are like, oh, yeah, he's had all these strikeouts in 2 games. I'm like, well, it's because they don't know how to hit him yet. They've never seen him before. Yeah. So, it's a different thing. Also, he's, they're talking about, all the home runs that he's hit to start off the season as well. I'm just like...
He has 3 or 4 right now?
Yeah, I know he had 3 not too long ago, but if he's
a pitcher and he's hitting home runs?
He's the Japanese Babe Ruth,
right,
Ryan.
that's what it is.
Oh.
Yes.
I don't follow baseball. I'm sorry. I've failed you. So your computer's no longer in danger.
Oh, that's good.
So I think everybody kind of needs to pump the brakes on him, but there are really big expectations for him coming in.
Just like looking back, just with Japanese players in general. Yeah, Yu Darvish. Who's still good, but not great.
Yeah, I mean he really blew it. I mean,
he has 7 different pitches. The catcher needs to make up different signs. It's okay, once you figure out. Yeah. Look at him now.
That mysterious...
He's 2 to 3 guy in the rotation.
That mysterious gyro ball or whatever that he had.
Don't hate on the gyro ball. Don't hate throwing it 55 miles per hour in a Major League Baseball game.
What else?
Wait,
Masahiro Tanaka.
Yeah, Tanaka even is like no name. Remember Daisuke?
Daisuke Matsuzaka?
Matsuzaka. Oh man, I did forget about him.
Case in point, you forgot about him. Yeah, like that was a huge name, and it's just like, oh well.
But I feel like in baseball it's so weird because I mean it's not it's a lot of times you talk about all the people that come in from Japan, but to begin with, it's like there's a lot of international players to begin with.
There is, and I think that's where the line is. I think with Japan / Asia in general, their leagues are so big that players get to establish themselves first, whereas like Caribbean players, they grow up and then they like enter the draft at like 16, 17. So they're young going through the system, right? And they get the chance to play in the minors and figure out American baseball. So I think that's a big difference. There's not too many other people. There's not too many Australian baseball players.
There could be.
Yeah, there could be.
Could you imagine?
There was one last year. It was the first African-born baseball player. Played on the Pirates last year.
Was he good?
He was decent.
He's no Aaron Justice. That's his name?
Judge?
Aaron Judge, thank you.
Same
I was
thing.
like, there is no Aaron Justice.
Look, I told you I don't follow.
I hope it's not Aaron Judge striking out the most times ever in a playoff series.
They just got the strikeout twins over there now up in
Giancarlo, man.
Yeah, they've been. And like I think, and that's another thing I think everybody's talking about, like, was getting all pumped up about that prior to the season, like the Bronx Bombers are back and everything like that. And I'm like, they haven't even played a game
First
together
of all,
yet.
the Bronx Bombers are like Mickey Mantle, Lou Gehrig, Babe Ruth.
Yeah,
who's gonna top that ever?
Yeah, and that was just crazy. And then you look at Giancarlo Stanton like striking out more times in the first week than who was it? Mickey Mantle did, or
all season.
Oh yeah, the entire season.
Sounds about right. That's something Mickey Mantle will do.
That was crazy.
Like 14 or 15 times. For one season.
But I mean, as far as like international players go, when it comes to baseball, it's just like I mean,
I just think the hype needs to die down because even nowadays we're just like, oh, like look at this guy and he's really good somewhere else, and let's bring him over, and he dies out within a year almost. And I wouldn't really
say it's a lot of the hype too. I would say it's a lot of the intrigue. So like, especially when you're looking at Shohei right now, if you're looking at Shohei Ohtani, you're looking at somebody who
he's slightly different.
He's different, and you're talking about like a guy who could throw 100 miles an hour and can also hit home runs. But at the same time, he's not one of those big he's not built in the same mold that you're looking at like the home run hitters of today are now. A lot of times you look at he's not really, I guess you could call him a home run hitter, but like you look at Chris Davis and he's like built physically. Like Shohei is like 6'3", 190, like
0.40 batting average.
Right, exactly. Why they had him leading off the beginning of the season is to this day is completely beyond me.
It's all about matchups, man.
Yeah, but you look at me like the Giancarlo Stantons and Aaron Judges. Those are all big, massive dudes that are just like over, like just hitting the ball, and just overpowering it over the wall. And that's kind of where baseball is headed towards now.
It's getting there, but
it's it's like there's so much emphasis on a home run that it's either home run or strike out. I mean, we like those odds as far as the analytics goes. Like, okay, if you strike out, then that means you were swinging hard. That means there's a likelihood that you can get a home run. But I just don't like that
because like you look at some of the strikeouts, they're like half swinging.
Yeah,
because they got fooled on a breaking ball.
Yeah, and they're also massive, so they can only half swing it, and they can still clear it over the freaking park. But yeah, I mean, as far as like the international players go, it's just different, just because, especially with the Japanese players, because you don't really know a lot about them. Like, you know that they put up good stats overseas in Japan, but like you don't really know too much more outside of that, you know. And that's the same for a lot of international players too. Now you look.
Ichiro set the bar so high.
Oh, definitely.
And you're like, every Japanese player is going to be Ichiro.
I mean,
Ichiro is good by any standard.
Even Hideki Matsuyama had a pretty good career with the Yankees. But I'm sorry,
Matsui, not Matsuyama.
Hideki Matsui. Yeah, there you go. My bad.
Guys, just butchering all these baseball names.
Yankees.
Can't deal with it.
So Mike Judge.
But
Alex Overture.
But I mean, like you said, as far as international players go, I mean, it's really prevalent, obviously, in baseball. It's really prevalent in hockey as well.
Hockey is another thing, but I think hockey it's a little better because, well, one, there's not so much as hype
Right.
Like
around them, like following the entire
There's-
sport in general.
There's a little bit of hype.
World,
There's your Carl Soderbergs. There's your Ilya Samsonovs. There are your Artemi Panarins. Carl Soderberg being a quite interesting story. They called him the Swedish unicorn because he was remarkably hard to find actual tape on.
Wow.
Just because he was playing for a team that had a pretty low budget at the time. But everybody was saying, like, oh my God, this guy's amazing. Like, you really need to see tape on this guy. But, late 2000s, European ice hockey, not exactly going to have great camera. So you've got grainy footage of a tall Swedish man.
It's like Bigfoot.
Yeah, they called him the Swedish unicorn because he was just hard to find on film. He was very blurry. You couldn't find him. So he comes over to the States and he's a middle six, bottom six player. Not the best player on the ice by any stretch of the imagination. Solid.
There's a reason there wasn't that much tape on him.
Well, the team was dead ass broke, but he was a solid player. He was worth bringing over to the NHL, but not what people were making him out to be. Artemi Panarin, once you got him off a line with Patrick Kane, he's not the same guy. He's still a top line forward. He's a top six forward at the very least. And he's not the guy he was next to Patrick Kane. And that's just how it's going to be. Nobody is going to be as good as they were next to Patrick Kane. But here's the thing about hockey is that so much of its player base is international. I mean, 2014 saw 33.6% of its draftees coming from the United States. And that was the largest percentage of United States draftees ever. Typically, it is something to the tune of 50 or 60% Canadian.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's all Canadians.
Yeah. 2014 was considered a very shallow draft year. It was about 40% Canada, 34% United States, and everything else was international.
Well, I think
that's just the way it is in hockey.
Yeah,
it's so well scouted.
Yeah.
And the word of mouth on hockey right now is so good. It's so easy to find young international talent. I mean, I've seen tape going back to when this kid, Aito Iguchi, out of Japan. Going back to when he was 10 years old, I found tape on this kid. Like, it is ridiculous. I don't understand. There's this guy who takes an absurd amount of pride in himself as a hockey trainer, Pavel Barber. And, like, he's got some really cool videos on YouTube. But then he's like, hey, look at this 10-year-old I found overseas. Like, you're trying a little hard there, bud.
Yeah. Why are you scouting 10-year-olds?
Why are you scouting 10-year-olds? Why are you scouting 10-year-olds in Japan? Why are you doing that? Like, why are you finding the minors in other countries?
They can ball and they can ball. It's as simple as that.
It's true.
They can puck.
Yeah.
But he did get hired on to be the kid's personal trainer, and apparently he's talking about going over to the CHL, the Canadian Hockey Leagues. So,
all the bucks.
Yeah, but he looks like he's got some solid hockey IQ. Maybe he'll be a decent middle six forward. Maybe he'll be the next Jonathan Taves. You never know. It'll be really hard it won't be as hard for people to pronounce his last name as Jonathan Taves. But, Toes. Who knows?
Yeah, I just think hockey is it's very global.
Yeah.
So a lot of people play a lot. Baseball is very American / Caribbean, Japanese.
Yeah, I'm about to say Northern Southern America.
Yeah,
it's one hemisphere, and one hemisphere alone, and Japan.
Yeah,
and that's why and the same thing with basketball. Like, I feel like basketball is very universal as well.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, I don't know the percentage off the top of my head, but there's a good amount of percentage in the league of players that are international or overseas or European or something along those lines. Even look at the 76ers, two biggest stars, both Cameroon and Australia. That's crazy. They're all over the place. So it's and especially you see the big difference now, especially there's actual real competition and real talent when it comes to you look at the Olympics and stuff like that and the World Championships and other teams that have legitimate superstars. Greece has Giannis Antetokounmpo. Spain played really well for a long time with both the Gasol brothers. They had Serge Ibaka on the team for a little bit, who was not from Spain at all. He was from the Republic of Congo. But they can switch around and play other places.
I know the Olympics is crazy. It's like if your grandparents are
are
a citizen in that country.
Yeah, exactly. You can do
so I could move to.
Yeah, you can do a dual.
I could move to the Congo.
Dual citizenship. Yeah, exactly. like Ben Simmons could easily play for the Australian team. Could also play for the American team. Same thing with Kyrie Irving. Like Kyrie Irving could have played for the Australian team too because he was born in Australia as well.
I'm sorry. You guys remember a certain server who aspired to be a manager back in glory days? Blonde hair.
Nah. Yes.
Yeah, I remember during the 2014 Winter Olympics, she and I were having a conversation.
Oh boy.
And fun.
And I was watching the men's hockey game with TJ Oshie playing the Russians.
Oh yeah.
You know, TJ Oshie versus the entire Russian team.
Yeah. I do remember that game.
I was watching that on the big screen they had there, and I remember she turned to me and she said, "So, do they let the pro players play in the Olympics?" And I'm just like, yeah, that's a kind of a unique circumstance. Just the way things are. It used to be all amateurs, like college players and stuff like that only.
That's how it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they went back to it.
AHL players are allowed in, but you know they don't count.
So if the Flyers demote one of their ginger Jesuses,
I think it's Gzi. The proper plural of Jesus is
The Jesuses or the Gzi?
The ginger Gzi.
Well, they would need to clear waivers, and good luck with that. I think like she so.
Right, yes.
I saw Alex Ovechkin playing on the Russian team, and she's like, is that the American uniform? I thought they were wearing the blue ones. And I was like, no, Alex Ovechkin is playing for Russia. And she goes, he would. I'm like,
yeah, he would because he's
born
Russian.
In Moscow.
Yeah.
Like,
yes, he would.
He still lives in Russia. Like, he just comes to the United States to play hockey. He's from Russia. He lives in Russia. And she said, I swear to God, she said, I thought he defected. And I was like, what?
Wow.
Yeah, he defected in 2004.
Let me tell you about the intelligence of the people who work at Glory Days.
The Anchorage Wall finally came down. And Alex Ovechkin is able to play for the United States. It's like the Stosnies all over again.
Oh, Nazem Kadri just got kicked out of the game.
Ha! What a goon.
Yeah, well, I think in basketball too. Like, it's just basketball is it could be played just about anywhere. You know, like baseball seems very like American.
Yeah.
Until like it grew to the Caribbean. You know, and hockey similarly, it's played similarly everywhere. I'm talking to a wall right now.
Yes, you are. You are also wrong. Hockey isn't played entirely similarly in Europe as it is to the United States.
No, it's not the same, but
I mean, yeah, stick and puck. But, you know, it's only like...
Stick and puck.
Yeah, I thought that's it. You definitely sound like you said...
What you said.
You kind of meshed it. It kind of sounded like you said dick and puck. And
yeah. Oh, well, I fucked up then.
Yeah. Got me curious how you figured out my go-to move. I learned it from Peter.
Oh. I hate you so much. Hey-yo.
Hey, Peter got invited to a podcast this week.
You sure did.
Don't hate.
How many podcasts did you get invited to this week?
Through Peter? Well, I host a podcast.
Yeah, but you know,
he hosts two.
You host yes. two, but you haven't been invited to any. So technically, your score is at -2. I got invited to this podcast twice by you, so I think I'm score +2. Plus the invite to the podcast earlier this week, I'm +3. You're at -2.
Wow.
Feel shame.
So yeah.
So this is my last episode of SportsSqwad.
But yeah, I mean,
this is Ryan's tribute
as it goes to like the NBA, and we're going to start playing In the Arms of the Angel after the episode.
I was thinking the exact same thing, dude.
I was thinking Time of Your Life. I feel like that's the go-to song.
But yeah, I mean, you look at the NBA. You have like more players that are like they're starting to take over that are from the international season. Like Kristaps Porzingis got injured early on in the season, but like he was off to a good start. Obviously, Joel Embiid's from Cameroon, so he's an international player that's playing really well.
I can't wait for his mask.
Oh my god! Did you see he did like a whole interview with the mask on?
Oh, I did it.
Oh my god, it was the greatest thing I've ever seen. Like it was like at his locker, it was like a press conference type thing. Oh, it's the funniest thing I've ever seen. Oh my god, he's gonna come out. He's gonna come out like Kane in like WrestleMania with that mask. That's what it looks like. Well, yeah, I mean, like Giannis Antetokounmpo was like in the MVP conversation early on in the season, and he's played really well as well. And it's just like you're seeing a lot more players. I mean, the one kid could get drafted probably in the second, like as a second or first overall pick in this year's NBA draft. And Luka Doncic, he is Slovenian, yes, because he played with Goran Dragic. Yeah. So he's from Slovenia originally, but he plays for like Barcelona basketball team. It's kind of like FC Barcelona, but it's like the basketball team.
BT Barcelona.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, but Goran Dragic.
Yeah.
That sounds like
he has
the
a brother
Dolph Lundgrenest basketball name I've ever fucking heard.
And he has a younger brother named Zoran Dragic.
Zoran Dragic.
Yeah.
If he dies, he dies.
But like, this is like the basketball equivalent of Rocky IV with Goran Dragic.
Yeah.
But who's going to be Dolph Lundgren's younger brother after Basketball Stallone kills him on the court?
Joel Embiid. It's always
Joel Embiid?
It's just Joel Embiid.
Okay. Joel Embiid.
You can't answer a single basketball question without saying Joel Embiid.
But
who's the
isn't
greatest?
Joel Embiid Basketball Stallone? No? No? So he's a basketball villain?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I can get behind this. I know nothing
especially
about basketball.
Especially with the mask on right now, too. He's the most villain-esque.
All right.
His tweet from watching the Final Four game, that is a top 3 tweet of all time. Not even basketball related. To explain, Ryan.
Please do.
Joel Embiid got a orbital fracture. So he was watching the...
It's in the eye.
Yeah.
I know what the orbital bone is, motherfucker.
So he was watching... It was Villanova, Kansas in the Final Four. And he played at Kansas for 1 year, kind of.
Half a year.
Yeah, half a year. Yeah.
Half of one and done.
So he tweeted a picture. It was like right after he got surgery. He tweeted like, "Oh, I'm high in the hospital watching this game," and he tweeted a picture of Harvey Dent in the hospital bed.
I forgot about that one. That was great.
That's a great one.
That's really good.
Both me and my brother were dying at the bar. We were watching at Flip Flops with a Z.
I remember that place. That's where we found Tom Savage's AIDS hat.
Oh yeah, we did do that.
Let's never ever qualify that with a discussion.
It's the mystery of Squadcast.
I feel like we should have actually claimed Tom Savage's AIDS hat instead of left it by the pool.
That was Devontae Smith-Pelly's 7th career playoff goal.
So basically, I think international players are just kind of, if you guys disagree, but I think it's kind of like the hype needs to die down a little bit. Maybe not.
Well, you can look at them like a high-end prospect, but you can't look at them like a superstar.
Yeah, I would agree to that. I would agree to that that thinking.
This is a forum. This is an open forum.
Because it's not like a lot of times they're coming in overhyped. It's just there's always an intrigue about him, and like there's always like a mystery behind, because you obviously don't know anything about the player going into it or anything like that. So that's why you get all these expectations and all these things, because you're expecting all you know is what you heard, and that's all you're gonna get. And that's why, I mean, you look at Darko Milicic. Just remembered his name. I've been trying to think of his name since the drive over here. Darko Milicic, who was drafted second overall in the 2003 NBA draft, and like there was all kinds of big time expectations around it. He was getting drafted onto like a really big playoff team in the Pistons and everything like that. And then that was, he was a bust, and not only was he a bust, but he was a bust in probably one of the greatest draft classes in recent memory. And that was LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade. Like, all those players.
Sometimes you ever just look at a draft and, like, how?
Yeah. And then you look at another draft and, like, wow, how was this draft this bad?
Yeah.
Like, there was a couple years ago when the Cavaliers had the first overall pick and they drafted Anthony Bennett, who's I'm pretty sure is out of the NBA at this point. Like, he's terrible. Because they didn't know what position he was playing. They drafted him out of UNLV. And another Canadian guy, and then he just like they didn't have a defined position for him. They didn't know what to do with him or anything like that. He was out of shape, couldn't shoot. It was just miserable. It was terrible.
Can I just pop back to hockey for a second with the worst use of 3 consecutive first-round draft picks in the history of sports. The Boston fucking Bruins having 13, 14, and 15 overall, and drafting 3 straight players who failed their performance physicals for that season and could not play in the AHL.
I think it's tough to kind of say that 3 of the worst first-round picks. I mean, in the history of sports.
No, I'm not saying
Browns,
first overall
the Browns
picks.
still do exist.
No, I'm saying like 3 straight picks, all of which failing to actually be impact players. 13, 14, and 15 overall.
Oh.
Not 3.
Drafting Zachary Senyshyn, Jakub Zaboral, and I cannot remember the third dude. Like, even a little bit.
See, you could have told me these were Bond villains, and I would have believed you.
Well, I mean, they play for Boston, so they basically are. I mean, they're captained by Zdeno Chara.
That's how Bruin Bond villain.
What? I don't even understand. And I'm angry. I'm just so mad.
They're in overtime.
I'm mad. It's overtime?
Yeah.
What's the actual score? 2-2? 3-3?
Yeah.
Shit.
I like how our recordings just become live updates of whatever event has been going on during the recording.
That's what's happening right now.
Yeah. So I think it's time to move on to our weekend review because we're already...
Weekend review!
Alright, so what happened this past week?
Well, the single greatest playoff game of all time was played last night between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Philadelphia Flyers. And... Hey, don't stop recording. Hey.
No, we're still recording.
Okay. I just saw you reach toward your keyboard.
We are definitely still recording.
It's like an NFL score in the 80s.
Yeah. The Pittsburgh scored a touchdown, and the Eagles could not recoup.
It was bad. It was bad.
It was like, you know what? I've got to say, Elliott is your goalie, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not all of that was Elliott's fault. He got hung out to dry, and he had quite a few bad luck goals. Like, they really drew some terrible luck in making the playoffs at all, because we all knew that this was going to happen. They knew this was going to happen. Claude Giroux is trying to renegotiate his contract and remove his no-trade clause so that he can get the fuck out of Philly. So is Voracek. And Simmons, everyone else associated with this team in my brain, because the Flyers are the only team I hate more than the Bruins.
Doesn't matter. The only person that matters on that team is Wayne Simmons.
You mean Devontae Smith-Pelly?
The only person that matters on the Flyers is Wayne Simmons.
Okay, yes, that's true. They had Ray Emery for a while, but he didn't matter.
Because it's only about Wayne Simmons.
It's only about Wayne Simmons. Ray Emery was like, I'm a goalie. I'm going to go fist fight another goalie who's 10 years younger than me and has never boxed in his life, unlike me. I'm Ray Emery. I tried to box in college and wasn't good enough, so I'm just going to box other goalies.
And
that was when another team dropped a touchdown on you. That was when the Caps dropped a touchdown on you.
And that was in what? Las Vegas Golden Knights got that first win of the playoffs.
Did you see that pregame ceremony? That shit was hilarious.
There was a knight that skated on to like the ice.
And you might mean like, oh, like a guy in a big inflatable suit?
No,
a man in full knight's armor.
Full knight's armor. That was great.
With a sword and a shield.
They had Logic perform like in a pregame type thing before, but like in front of the stadium, in front of T-Mobile Arena. That's actually a really beautiful area too, like beautiful stadium too. It's like right off of like the strip. It's like right next to the strip.
There's no better place for you to have put that.
It's amazing really because like all the because the owners of MGM own the Las Vegas Golden Knights is what it is, and so like they like all their memorabilia and everything like that is in the MGM Grand, like whatever all the other like casinos and hotels that the MGM Grand owns, because they own a lot of them on the strip. What else happened this week? Patrick Reed, Captain America, won the Masters.
Yeah, Patrick Reed.
Everybody was really not secretly hoping that Ricky Fowler was going to be able to come back and pull it out, and Spieth was going to be able to come back and pull it out, because Patrick Reed isn't a big like sexy name. Jordan Spieth is.
Jordan Spieth definitely is.
And he, especially with how well he's playing, like he was 9 strokes back before the day started on Sunday. He shot a 64. And still lost. I mean, Ricky Fowler was up in it, and he was around there.
But
yeah, I understand that.
I watched like the first 9 holes, and then like the second. Because they don't tee off until like 3 o'clock, so it's like they're playing the back 9 at like 5 in the afternoon, and I'm like, the WrestleMania's on. We also have a Squadcast to record. Like,
we got 14 days into the NFL draft. Can't wait for that. I'm very excited about that.
Yep.
So hot take. Who do you think they're going first?
Who's going to go first overall?
You still think it's Darnold to the Browns?
I still think it's Darnold to the Browns. I will not be surprised if the Browns mess up and they choose Josh Allen from Wyoming.
How big of a mess up do you think that is? Do you think Darnold's like far and away like number one guy?
I don't think that there's anybody that's far and away the number one, but I'd still put Darnold ahead of Josh Allen because Josh Allen just doesn't have the accuracy that I like in a real quarterback. He didn't put up the stats that I want when I see a guy who should have been dominating competition in that conference. Being I think the Mountain West Conference, with the exception of probably Boise State, I expect him to dominate every other team that they play.
Here's my prediction. All right, the Browns draft Bradley Chubb number 1 overall.
That'd be dumb.
That'd be super dumb. And then they keep trading down from 4 and get Baker Mayfield at like 15 or 18
he
or
won't
something.
last that long.
Just let me enjoy this happening in my brain.
But I do think that they do like Baker Mayfield, and I think that Baker Mayfield could be the most NFL ready quarterback out of all the quarterbacks in this draft class.
Then why don't people have him going higher?
His size, and there's a lot more potential. And there's a lot more, and then there's another
there's
one.
more to it, obviously.
And
when you say, "Oh, he's only 6 feet tall," so are a lot of good quarterbacks.
Yeah, and then exactly. You look at Drew Brees, and Drew Brees is his career style and everything like that. You look at Russell Wilson. Everybody want to try to compare him to Russell Wilson, but that just wasn't going to happen because he's not as athletic. He's not as fast as Russell Wilson was.
Oh, but it's just like that.
I think he ran like a 4.91.
Factor.
Yeah.
Your side. Look at other things.
Oh yeah.
Accuracy and
I wouldn't be surprised
like
if the Browns are smart. I think the Browns will go. They stick at 1. They get the quarterback in Darnold at 1. If they want, they can go after the quarterback. If they can go after Saquon Barkley at 4. If they want to go Bradley Chubb, they can do that at 4 as well. Or they can also trade back to somebody who wants a quarterback at that 4th overall pick. Whether it's because I still think the Bills are going to try and trade up to the 2nd overall pick. I think they're going to get them both their first round picks this year and their first round pick next year to the Giants to get to number 2 to get their quarterback. Whether it's Rosen or Allen, I don't know who it's going to be, but I think that that's what they do at some point. But I think I think the Browns would be really smart. They go quarterback 1, Saquon at 4. And then they can mesh that together what the Cowboys did a couple years ago and drafting Dak and Zeke in the same draft.
Reddit rumor was Jarvis Landry signed a deal with the Browns.
Yes, I did see that.
Yeah,
I did see that.
That was a rumor as of like 6 o'clock. I don't know what
I think I saw something that says $15 million per year. Could be wrong.
Jarvis Landry, you got the 1 in the 4 pick.
Yeah, you still got. Yeah, Browns and wide receiver Jarvis Landry finalizing 5-year, $75 million extension with $4 million guaranteed, $47 million guaranteed.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
actually ridiculous.
Yep.
For a slot receiver.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think the Browns are going to be really competitive this year. 6-10.
I wouldn't say really competitive, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're not last place in the division this year.
So 6-10.
Yeah, because I
Cincinnati 4-12.
I think they have a shot of being better than both the Ravens and the Browns.
The Ravens have this weird ability to either be cataclysmically failing or incredibly successful.
Yeah,
they are one or the other. Or they are Kyle Bowler for 8 years.
Yeah, that's true too.
Kyle, I should have been a bowler.
The bowler coaster. Look at those seasons though. It was creepy watching the Billick years with Bowler. It was like 9-7, 7-9, 12-4, 4-12, 10-6, 6-10, and it was like winning season equal losing season, winning season equal losing season. Like it was creepy.
I mean, you could have had Jeff Fisher and just go 7-9 every year.
Yeah,
sneak into the playoffs every once in a while.
Yeah,
and you look at then credit quarterbacks for their success after you leave.
That's ridiculous. Both the quarterbacks that they were miserable last year. Jared Goff and Case Keenum were both terrible last year, like the year before. They go to different teams with different coaches that actually know how to coach quarterbacks, and, they turn out to be both playoff teams. And one team went to the conference championship, But what else?
Oh, okay. I got one. So, it's a wrestling thing. But, it's crazy. So they had WrestleMania, right?
Asuka tap.
Asuka, no H.
You guys were saying Asuka. You were. Look,
I'm going to get other.
I learned it from you.
Oshkosh bagosh.
Okay, no, nothing about WrestleMania is the biggest show, right? That they have. It's like their season finale, and then they restart, right? They recently signed a deal with Saudi Arabia to have one show in Saudi Arabia for the next 10 years, and it's this huge monumental show.
Like Saudi Arabia doesn't do like shows or movies or anything like that. Like I just saw a story on something on Twitter saying like Saudi Arabia just put like Black Panther in the movie theater, and that's the first movie they put in the movie theater in like 20-something years.
Yeah, so WWE is weird. Anyway, so the show is called The Greatest Royal Rumble, right? So they have a regular Royal Rumble, which is 30 guys, right? The Greatest Royal Rumble is going to have 50.
Oh
that doesn't seem like it's going to be too
Only 20
much.
have been confirmed, so they still have an entire other Royal Rumble to announce. Undertaker is also wrestling twice in 1 month.
Wow.
Which is, I know, right?
He's like 80 years old.
So he's wwrestling in a casket match against Chris Jericho.
Of course he is.
Yeah.
Chris Jericho's still alive?
Yeah.
I'm thinking...
Like, I know The Undertaker's a zombie, but...
I'm thinking of Chris Benoit. That's what I'm thinking of.
Oh. Even I know that one.
Okay, so... Not specifically about Chris Benoit, but I was talking wrestling about to a former coworker who recently went back to our previous place of employment, and I was talking to him about wrestling one day, and I was like, "Oh yeah, like sometimes like it's actual like tragedy, like with what happened with Chris Benoit," and he gave me like this weird look, and I was like, do you not know the story of that? And he's like, well, I don't pay attention to wrestling. I was like, this was on like CNN.
Yeah,
like,
this is like real
news.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just the fact that he's like, oh, I don't watch wrestling. I don't know anything.
I remember like Eddie Guerrero died around the same time too.
He died in October 2005, 2 days before he was scheduled to win the World Championship.
Yeah.
And then Chris Benoit died July 2007. So within 2 years of each other. Yeah. But anyway, so the Greatest Royal Rumble is happening. None of the women can compete because it's Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
They're not allowing women to compete.
Oh, yeah.
So they're putting every other belt they have on the line, right? And they have this great 50-man Royal Rumble happening too. And it's just, I saw on Reddit, it was like WrestleMania on acid. Like, they're just throwing every big name they can think of into the show at Saudi Arabia. And Brock Lesnar's going to be there. He's going to be battling Roman Reigns again.
So I got to get him a couple more steroids in?
Apparently it's in Brock Lesnar's contract to, like, not take drug testing in WWE.
Oh, well, yeah, that makes sense.
They're like,
if anything ever made sense in my entire life, that would be it.
Yeah. Brock Lesnar, oh man, Brock, he's a monster, literally. Head through this huge...
What else we got? NBA playoffs.
NBA playoffs have been set.
That's going to be interesting.
Sixers are the 3 seed.
3 seed
I
playing
saw on
the
Twitter.
Miami Heat.
Yeah,
It's a 6 seed.
One of my students is a Heat fan.
Who's the 8 seed? Is that the Wizards? I feel like they
Might be the Wizards.
Also, did I see it properly on ESPN that the Lakers got in while being like 8 or 9 games under 500?
Oh no, they're not. No,
they play in the Western Conference.
Yeah,
in the Eastern Conference probably.
No, even all the Eastern Conference teams are above 500 this year.
Oh, so it must have been like one of the last games of the season then.
Yeah, because they were talking about that guy who was in the G League for like 10 years. And,
that guy.
And he came back and they brought him up for like this like last game of the season, and he dropped 19 points, went 4 or 5 from 3-point line, and just wrecked everything. They still lost the games to the Rockets, but they was still like a really big storyline.
Yeah, Wizards are the 8 seed.
Okay.
So we got Toronto, Washington, Boston, Milwaukee, Philly, Miami, Cleveland, Indiana for the Eastern.
Look, Toronto's not allowed to win.
Spurs are a 7 seed?
Yeah.
Ooh, man.
They didn't have Kawhi the entire year.
That's true.
They were like an old team.
Like that shows that NBA is like a player-driven league.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Golden State's a 2 seed too. Houston finished? Oh wow.
Oh yeah, they finished like 8 games ahead of Golden State because Golden State they've been resting all the players. They've been injured all the last half of the season.
Trailblazers 3 seed.
Okay, so they did beat
I just can't wait for Embiid in the playoffs.
Oh, it's gonna be great.
It's gonna be life.
And Ben Simmons is also really funny too. Like That's another big thing. It's like the whole controversy with like him and Donovan Mitchell.
That's what I wrote on the pad.
That's what on the pad. That whole thing was like that was like really fascinating to me this week as well, because like everybody was like talking about like the controversy, like, oh well, like Simmons isn't actually a rookie because he was drafted last year, but he didn't play the entire season or whatever. And I'm like that's the definition of a rookie. Yeah, he didn't play. Yeah, like Joel Embiid almost won Rookie of the Year last year after 2 years. Yeah, right, exactly. And it was technically his third season. I mean, Blake Griffin did win the MVP after sitting out, like after having a knee surgery and missing his entire rookie season. They lost.
Fucking bread man, Panarin. I talked about him.
But yeah, so
the
like
Caps and the Flyers are both down 1 game.
Excuse me.
How'd it get?
I saw that sneeze. I saw
I'm sorry.
the spray.
Ugh.
Like a Lysol
The
can.
sneeze of defeat.
I mean, especially given what Ben Simmons has done, especially these last 16 games, averaging a triple double through the duration of the win streak, and doing it without probably your best player. Yeah, Ben Simmons probably won that.
People always say Embiid, but I think Embiid's more the leader, but Simmons is probably the best player.
It's close for me, but until Ben Simmons develops a jump shot, I'd still put Embiid as a better player.
Another one of my favorite tweets. Embiid actually didn't do it. He was just in the tweet.
Yeah.
Somebody, he launched a 3 and then started running, and then they were like, he just pulled a Steph Curry.
Yeah.
He was out of the frame before the shot went in.
I did see that.
7 foot tall Joel Embiid dropping those threes and running off.
But yeah, I mean, like, you know, I definitely think that it should be Ben Simmons. Like they like, and I can see the argument that should definitely be made for Donovan Mitchell as well. I mean, he's a leading scorer on his team, and he's a rookie, and they're the 4 seed in the Western Conference, and a team where like they didn't expect to like be in the playoffs at all this season, especially after losing Gordon Hayward. Right. Rudy Gobert getting injured early on in the season, like losing Joe Johnson, like waiving Joe Johnson and everything like that, like having a big trade in the middle of the season. Like they should not have been a good team. As simple as that. But like
look at what Simmons been doing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's hard to defy.
All season long. I mean, he himself has had more triple doubles than like half of the NBA. Another big storyline this week is Russell Westbrook averaging a triple double over a season again too. Despite twice in a row, like back-to-back seasons. And it was like, that was a thing too that was swept under the rug completely because everything else that was happening this week. I mean, you still have like the early part of baseball season, which is like still a really big deal because people really care about like early on in baseball season. Forget about the other 152, 100 and however many games, and then just like pick back up when it's like 100 game 132, 142. Yeah, exactly. When the playoff race really begins.
You gotta get through August. September hits.
And then and baseball really picks back up when like there's no other sports that are going on right now too. So like when basketball ends, hockey ends, everything like that, then baseball obviously moves into the forefront. But I mean, like with all the seeding in the NBA playoffs, like the whole Westbrook story got swept on the rug. Hockey playoffs starting as well, and NFL draft coming up as well. So like all that kind of gets thrown underneath the rug because I mean like that's like really impressive. Like nobody's ever done that before. So Westbrook has done it, and like he's done it. He did that now with actual talent on his team. Like last year, it's like this. He's only adding these stats because there's nobody else on his roster. Like this year, he's actually got Carmelo Anthony and Paul George, and like he still did it.
Yeah. I forget people move.
Oh yeah.
That's why I love the beginning of baseball season because the winter meetings are in December.
Yeah.
And, like, all the big free agents and stuff. And that's like 3 months later. Oh yeah, that guy's on that team now.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's just like it's there's a lot that's going on right now, and it's
a crazy time. April
it really is. It's one of my favorite parts of it's like October, yeah. Because like that's when NFL's starting back up.
That's when NFL is
like baseball's like in the
season,
yeah.
Baseball playoffs, hockey,
college football is really big too. Like it's all really good around that time.
I'm sorry, I don't like October hockey.
October hockey is butt hockey.
Oh, well, yeah.
Well, it's just the, hey, it's back.
Yeah, it's like all these sports are coming back,
It's back, but it's like the first 2 weeks of the NHL season are in the last 2 weeks of October.
Yeah.
Hey, all the players you like are back and tired and not, ready to play yet, but we're gonna still make play. If you did not recall how bad the Colorado Avalanche were 2 years ago, there was a sustained video sequence of them not completing a single pass while maintaining possession of the puck for 90 seconds before getting called offsides.
Wow.
They could not complete a single pass. They bungled every single thing. They mishandled everything. It either got broken up and they managed to recover it. Eventually they carried it out and then they got called up. And that was their entire season. That is what all of October hockey looks like all the time. Is people missing passes, bad plays, and just goalies who are maybe a little bit ahead of the curve, look amazing, and goalies who are slow to start look like trash. That's the first 2 weeks of hockey. Is everybody plays bad except for 2 goalies, and then they win the fucking best. All right, fine. Real quick, who gets the Hart Trophy?
Who gets the Hart Trophy? Oh man,
Jesus?
No.
Are you saying that just because he's a Flyer?
Yes. I've got to say it's either.
I was like, holy crap, he turned it up near that.
Oh god, I still think it's going to be either Stamkos or Kucherov.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, he's
anybody besides Crosby. I'm not a fan of
Crosby's.
Senior Veteran, but he's hard to hate because he's such a fun guy and
He's so fun to watch.
Such a fun player,
It's-
Crosby's just I want to super kick you.
Yeah, look, Sidney Pockets Crosby is just one of the least entertaining human beings on the planet. There are entire websites dedicated to chronicling pictures of him with adoring fans where people are on both of his shoulders and he's got both of his hands in his pockets. That's the whole thing. That's why they call him Pockets, is because he stands there with his shoulders hunched and his hands in his pockets because he's got no personality. He's just a hockey robot from Nova Scotia. I don't think he's actually from Nova Scotia. It would be funny if he was.
Yeah, it would be.
No, he's from he's from that one town where it's him, Ben Scrivens, Matt Duchene, and another hockeyman are all from that town. Cape something. No, is that right? I can't remember. I'll stop trying.
They're all from Canada.
They're all from one little town in Canada that gets so cold that the roads ice over for 2 months every year. So you can literally just play street hockey with your ice skates on.
One of my coworkers lived near Ellicott City a while ago.
Yeah.
So there was the big blizzard back in 2016 blizzard that happened, and it snowed so they walked to a bar. His wife walked, but he brought his ski back home, and his wife walked. She's like, why are you skiing home? He's like, I'm never going to be able to do this ever again. I'm going to ski down a main road in Ellicott City. But yeah, he grew up in Buffalo, so.
Yeah. Buffalo's a weird town.
He's one of my favorites.
I'm sorry, but Buffalo Bills fans have ruined Buffalo for the rest of the world.
What? Bills Mafia? Greatest thing that ever happened to sports. To mankind. Honestly.
Come on, that video of the
Jumping through
Bills
tables, doing a dizzy band to the side of a bus.
My personal
Classics.
favorite was the fan video. I think it was a Jets fan or something like that, taking a video of somebody doing a rail of coke off of one of the seats in the fucking Bills stadium.
Oh, it's not as bad as Miami Dolphins would do with their offensive line coach doing it in the facility. while addressing that video to a stripper that he occasionally has sex with, because that's so Miami. It's so Miami.
Miami is the Hollywood of sports,
Or LA,
but look, LA has got how many teams now? 4, but it used to be
total teams.
Yeah, total teams.
Teams that matter
In all sports.
in the Big 4. So you've got the LA Kings. I'd argue that they matter. They're in the playoffs. Then you've got
You got the Lakers.
You got the Lakers and the
Clippers.
Do either of them matter?
The Lakers always
The
matter.
Lakers are
Didn't they not make the playoffs?
Yeah, but
that doesn't matter then. They don't matter.
They're the Lakers. They always. I mean, Lonzo
is your
Ball
criteria?
still plays for him. Like LeVar Ball is like come on, like they still matter as far as like
Wait,
storylines
Lonzo
go.
and LeVar both play for the Lakers?
No. LeVar is just a dad, so he basically plays for the Lakers. He just doesn't.
Okay.
He's just a son.
He's the
Very
overbearing
confused.
dad at
Yeah.
a youth game. That's the proof.
Yeah.
Did he used to play?
No.
No. Well,
So why does everybody fucking talk about
he
him?
did technically used to play.
Yeah.
He averaged 2.2 points a game.
2.3. Give that man some credit. Put some
2.3 games.
put some respect on his name.
at Washington State.
Washington State, indeed. Then he left and started playing football. I think he was a tight end
But why do people talk about him so goddamn much?
because he's loud. And his son was the second overall pick in the NBA draft.
Fair enough.
So
But
Lakers, Clippers, the Dodgers, the Angels.
Angels.
Dodgers matter. Do the Angels matter?
Well, considering that Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani.
Alright, I guess they all allow them.
Don't hate on my boy.
Now, they
Mike
have
Trout.
And the Angels
Chargers.
wonder Albert Pujols.
Yeah, I guess he's still alive.
Barely.
But they have the Chargers, which is like -5 professional franchises.
Hey now,
They're not in LA. Blame that on the
they're
city
in
of
Carson.
which
They're technically
I'm
the LA
still
Chargers.
waiting on that stat. When the Eagles played in LA, the name of the quarterback was the same as the city he was playing in. And I have yet to see anybody bring up when that happened before. Just saying. Carson Wentz played in Carson. When has the name of the quarterback been the same as the city he's played in? Can you name a quarterback named Philadelphia?
I mean, Dakota has probably played in North or South Dakota.
Maybe.
First of all, they're states.
It's bigger than a city.
Second of all, neither of them have professional franchises.
Doesn't matter. He probably played it in college. Probably not, because he played in Mississippi State. So I doubt that they ever played any kind of Dakotas. That's actually not even his real first name.
Shit, we can do this. Hang on.
I'm handing it out to you, Squad Nation.
I can't do it.
Comment. Comment if that
There
has ever
has
happened
to have been
before.
someone in the history of professional sports named Dallas. Because Dallas Aikens was the coach of the Edmonton Oilers. They played in Dallas at least twice.
Dallas Braden. Was he a pitcher? Sure, he played in
Doing every
Dallas.
game on Mother's Day. And Dallas Keuchel.
Dallas Keuchel, who plays in Houston, he's probably played
the Rangers.
Bam! There we go. We've solved it.
Wait, nope. The Rangers playing Arlington.
That's Dallas Fort Worth. We had agreements about this last episode. We were literally talking about this last episode.
I know. Football. Has it happened in football?
It could have.
It could have.
Probably not a quarterback. That's too limited.
Well, I tweeted at ESPN and they never responded.
They're a bunch of jokes.
ESPN is trash.
Oh my god, the one stat I saw the other day, I think it was yesterday or the day before. A guy on the Twin is the youngest player ever to have a multi-home run game, including a walk-off, against the defending World Series champion. Some guy, I don't even remember his name. But he's 25 years old.
Maybe the most useless stat I think
That
I've
might
ever
be
heard in
the
my
most
life.
useless.
I think we
was-
found it. The most useless one.
It is the most useless stat in the world.
I can think of something more useless. Henrik and Daniel Sedin are now retired NHL players, right? Twins, drafted in 2000, finally retired. They now sit second as a pair of players with the same last name in combined scoring in NHL history. Behind Wayne Gretzky and his brother. His brother having scored a combined 6 points in the NHL.
We've talked about this on an episode before.
Yeah, but it's worth saying now that they've retired.
Yeah.
So long, Sedin Twins. The magic is over. Vancouver is now allowed to break off of the rest of Canada and sink into the sea like it deserves. So long, Vancouver. Your era of sparkling incompetence, irrelevance is now over. We are now ready to forget you. Goodbye.
The Rams.
Amen.
The Rams.
They're not in Vancouver.
They're an LA team too.
Yeah, but tell you what, we're moving the Rams to Vancouver. That way we can keep Vancouver from breaking off and sinking like everyone wants.
That's where we're sending the Rams.
I think that's where they've got to go. Or we can send the Chargers up there. I think we should send.
Whichever allows them to have more cap space, so they can sign all these players that they keep on trying to get.
The NFL needs a Canadian team. The NFL needs a Canadian team, but they actually know.
They had a whole
They need
Canadian. They have a full Canadian league. They're good.
Yeah, we're good.
You know what the NFL
And
Super
they're
Duper
gonna
doesn't
have-
need? They super duper don't need a London team, and they need to stop playing fucking London games.
Why, you don't like watching a football game at 9:30 in the morning? I'm confused.
Look, just move Jacksonville
like
to London, or move no one to
Well,
London.
you can't move to Jacksonville now. Like, they're actually like a winning team now. Like, you can't move a winning team to like
They're a
like,
winning
overseas.
team because they've had all that time to play in
Like,
London.
you want to move the Browns.
They-
Like, I don't think you can move the Browns because they already got mad when the Ravens took the Browns. Took the Browns. Like, they actually still hate Art Modell because of that.
Yep.
Like, to this day, the craziest thing I think I've ever seen was the day that Art Modell died, and following people on Twitter from Cleveland and following people on Twitter from Baltimore, and the two very different reactions that each person from that specific area had to the death of Art Modell. The Browns fans like, good riddance, glad you're dead for stealing our football team, and then the Ravens fans like, man, this is such a sad day. Poor Modell, poor Ravens. It's a sad day in Ravens Nation. I'm like, wow, this is hysterical how different these two things are.
Oh, my first year at Dawson, I was watching a playoff game with two Ravens fans, and it was the Colts were playing so long.
Oh yeah,
the salt is still there.
Oh yeah, the salt is very, very real there.
It took me
The fact is, the Ravens fans will say the same shit about Irsay's. You put Irsay behind someone's name, they're not allowed in Baltimore.
Yeah. You can't even talk
Irsay
about
sucks.
like we can't even talk in the entire state of Maryland. We can't talk about the first ship that was ever sent to United States, the Mayflower, because the Ravens fans will be so mad about the Mayflower moving overnight to pick up and go to Indianapolis.
Yep, I think you can't even get a Mayflower truck around these parts anymore.
No, you can't. It's only SDs or the Mayflower, just like that.
Oh, they could still be around. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we sufficiently got sidetracked.
That might be up there, and that might be in the.
So I think here's what we need to do. All right, to solve the
right.
international players problem. I think we can sign off with this one if that's okay.
Luka Doncic goes first overall.
Solve the international players problem of players being too hyped when they come in. Start going international general managers. All right, not players. You have to be born in the country you play in, but you have to rotate a general manager in your league every year from another country. He's not even allowed to speak the language. They just draw a name out of a hat every year. It's just like Jarmo Kekalainen. No, he's absolutely the current GM of the Blue Jackets, but you know,
I really thought you just made up a name out of nowhere.
No,
and
that was
a name.
That's the Finland effect. Is what that is.
I'm like, wow, that's a hell of a name to come up with.
Finland sounds made up.
Jarmo Kekalainen?
Yeah.
I was going to say Tom Green.
One of my favorite. Is it a subreddit or just an inside joke on Reddit? Like, Finland doesn't exist.
Oh, the Finland conspiracy.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things on
I have a friend who doesn't believe that giraffes exist.
That what?
That giraffes don't exist.
Giraffes.
Oh, I thought you said giraffes.
Like long horses.
Yes.
Okay.
Like long horses.
So the Finland conspiracy is the idea that, you know, every population chart you see, there's a little asterisk that says, you know, within like a 5% margin of error for census taking mistakes, you know? Well, you know, you've got 7.1 billion people on the planet Earth. What's 5% of that? You know?
It's the population of Finland. That's what
it's a lot more than the population of Finland. You could hide an entire country in that margin of error. And you know what? Everything out of Finland sounds made up. Jyrki Jokipaka? That's a fucking person's name? Toivo Teravainen? Nuh-uh. Get out. Go back to your mysterious fake country. No, you know what Finland is? Finland is a fake country. It is just a body of water that the Japanese use to fish.
I was going to say, maybe Finnish people look at American and are like, oh, this dude's name is Mike Trout? There's no way a fish is a person's name. Yeah. John Smith? What kind of name is that? That's what they're saying in Finland right now.
Like, it's not alliterative. It doesn't have like 8 of the same consonant in it.
Yeah.
But that's the plan. All right? They don't even have to be
that's
a GM.
The plan? What's the plan? Oh.
Bring in the GM from another country. Doesn't even have to speak the language to GM a team. All right? I feel like that is the true test of player skill. All right? Is despite managerial incompetence or non-communicativeness, they still succeed, and everyone has to deal with it. Take the GMs out of the game.
I mean, if you take the GMs out of the game, you're stuck with A&E. Nobody wants that.
I will actually break this instead of
Before Ryan kills me.
He doesn't have anything to say.
Yes, before Ryan kills me, death by pineapple. Okay, you take that. I'll take the pineapple off my coffee table, and we have a duel.
All right.
How about that?
I feel like that could work. It's a wireframe pineapple, Kelvin.
I think I got my money's on the wireframe.
I don't know. I feel like he would have to take a little bit more time to break it and make it sharp.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I can just go bam, and then...
Well, I can do that.
Yeah,
with
but
the
you
wireframe
can't guarantee that the wireframe pineapple is going to actually, like, shear and make things that are sharp.
pineapple. Yeah, but I can fracture your orbital bone.
That's the eye bone.
Oh, shit. On that note...
That has been our medical segment with Kelvin. Alright, yes, on that note, I think we have done some and more this episode. That was apparently international players, but you know how it is with Squadcast and SportsSqwad.
It's not about the topic, it's about what we say.
It's about the memories we
Yeah, I said a thing about a wall in Alaska that I just completely made up. It was great.
Yeah,
I remember.
That was
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
That's going to be the quote I put when I share it on Facebook, and I usually put a quote of like, this is what was said during this episode. Find out how and why.
Like how I stated the undeniable fact that the McFlurry was the Secretary of Dessert.
That's still a top 3 Squadcast quote.
Oh, man.
And I quote, that thing was bred to win.
Bred to win.
That thing was bred to win. And what was it? The blizzard just falls upside down.
The blizzard has fallen over and not spilled.
Yeah.